This is the place to be every single Thursday night. Welcome all around the world to our YouTube channel, guys, and welcome across the U.S. and across Canada and across the world. Also, these multiple great stations. This is Resonate Sound. Always amplify the boom of Jesus right there at you. Welcome. I'm Cornbread Heineken. Oh yeah. By the way, like this video, subscribe to the channel, then ring that bell, ding ding ding, the way you really see them. Woo! And welcome to the month of June. Oh yeah, and by the way, I'll go ahead and kind of spoil this a little bit for you. August is going to be loaded, and we're coming with something brand new, never before seen. Your eyes peeled. As we open up the month of June, got a lot of unorthodox stuff, and by the way, we will be airing on Father's Day night. And we'll talk about that later on before we go off the air. But man, they got a lot of unique stuff coming up. And of course, Resonate's always been the place where we literally dive in on stuff that nobody ever wants to talk about, especially spiritually. And tonight's so different. You know, when it comes to God, a lot of times we can say, oh Lord, we trust you, we believe your word and all that. But then we all, as humans, we always have that doubt in the back of our mind that ends up creeping forward. And it could be not just towards God, it could be towards our spouses, it could be towards our relationships with boyfriend-girlfriend relationships, or even towards family, or even towards friends. Tonight, let Resonate Sound help you deal with some of those issues. Let's go inside the World Infants Resonate Church, and our Chapel Pastor McKenna Boone is standing by. And tonight we're going to give you literally keys and literally lessons when it comes to dealing with trust issues. It's another one no one really talks about until now. McKenna, it's all yours, girl. Go get him. Let's go resonate.
So, the title of my sermon tonight is Dealing with Trust Issues. Okay? And Ariana's going to come help me here with this. And let me disclaim by saying this. I've had issues. I am a teacher, but it's the very end of the year. And I was out of pencils in my classroom. Okay? So I had to go to the store and buy pencils. And then I was like, okay, I don't really want to have to go back up to the school to sharpen them beforehand. So I asked my mom, I was like, do you have a pencil sharpener where I can sharpen this? She's like, yeah. Well, she brought it, and it doesn't sharpen these kind of pencils. So she had to run to the store just a few minutes ago to give me the sharpener that I needed to sharpen these. So what I'm trying to say is I haven't tested this out yet to make sure that it works like it's supposed to work. So we'll just keep that in mind. But we're going to go with it. And the Lord has something to say out of it anyway, even if it doesn't work like it's supposed to work. So Ariana is going to come help me. Okay. So I'm going to start by saying, here, get over here so the camera can see you. People at home watching. Alright, so, first of all, I'm going to ask you, and I'm curious to your response. Do you trust me?
Not really.
Not honest answer, fair answer, right? Right? So, what I'm going to do is, I probably should have said, hey, does anyone here trust me, and then had you guys come up here and do it. But if this little girl right here gets wet, let me tell you, she don't care nothing about it, so that's why I went ahead and chose her in case it doesn't go like we need it to go. So I'm going to hang this water in this bag here. I'm going to hang it above your head. And I'm going to stick these pencils in it, and you're not going to get wet. Do you trust me? No. So let's see. 5 pencils.
I'm really nervous right now. Are you ready?
Okay. Got 1. And I don't know about y'all, but you think sticking in this bag, you would think as these pencils went in that, you know, it would bust the bag open and the water would begin to pour out, right? Is that what you thought would happen? Yeah, that's what I initially thought would happen too, okay? Because I haven't tested it yet, okay? But she said at the beginning that she did not trust me. What I really needed was for her to trust me to prove that sometimes things look crazy. And God will sit here and tell us, do you trust that I'm going to pull you out of this? Do you trust that I'm going to make a way and that it's all going to work out? And some of us are like her, no, not really. We want to think yes, but sometimes the reality is this looks really scary and it looks like there's no way that it's going to work. So no, I don't really trust you. He goes this. Oh, thanks. Is that not how we are sometimes? No, God shows us a glimpse of something, or we may be going through something.
Right.
And we're like, hey, this seems a little crazy, God. And God's like, well, you know, do you trust that I can bring you out of this? Do you trust that this is my plan and I'm going to work all things out for good exactly how it's supposed to be? And we want to say yes because, you know, we're followers of Christ. We are disciples and it's, you know, our natural instinct to say yes. But sometimes we are a lot like Ariana, in which case, no, I don't know that I trust. But no water got on her, despite her unbelief in me. And God does us the same way.
That's good.
He always makes it work, even when it seems crazy.
Yeah.
So, when we think about trusting God and trusting Jesus that He's going to make a way and that all things are going to work for good, the one thing, and I think what we all immediately think of is Job, right? I just feel like that's the most common example that we talk about. Is Job was tried, he lost everything that you could possibly think of. Think about everyone in your life that you love and everything that you care for.
Right.
And then just imagine that tomorrow you wake up and all of that is taken from you. That's where Job was. Everything that he loved, everything that he had, it was gone, right? And so that's a really common example, is that through all that, he would always, the whole time, he never cursed God, never went against God. He trusted that God, the whole time, had a plan for him, had a purpose for him, and that God, even though it looked crazy and he didn't understand, that he knew God was going to make a way, right?
Yeah.
Right? So, I don't want to go there tonight because I feel like naturally that's where we would all go, right? And so I'm going to talk about two other stories tonight. And the first one is one that I feel like we talk about sometimes, but I don't know that it is hinted on and talked about enough. But I'm going to talk a minute about Zachariah and Elizabeth. Okay? Zachariah and Elizabeth, they trusted God even when their longing that they had in their heart, when it was still unfulfilled, they trusted God anyway. Does anybody have a longing in their heart or something that they truly desire from God and it's still yet to be fulfilled? Anybody else there? And sometimes it gets really hard to sit back and just trust that God is in control. We have some trust issues with ourselves, with the people in our lives, and sometimes we have trust issues with God, knowing that He's going to make a way, right?
Right.
So Zachariah and Elizabeth, if you study on them, you get to know them. Most of you probably know who they are. They are known in the Bible. They were a couple. People describe them as very old and childless. Right? They were getting old. They could not have children. Although that was the desire of their heart. They wanted that so bad, more than anything in the world. They could not and had not yet had a child. And so they are a perfect example of that first point, dealing with something that you long so much for, but it has not been fulfilled yet. They are that perfect example. Huge desire, but God had not came through for them yet. So they waited for years and years and years, and they had a ton of heartache during that time, as you could imagine. If anybody's ever waited for anything in their life, you know, there's years of waiting and disappointment, and you get tired and you get angry and all that stuff. But they were being denied something that they wanted for so long, and they had no idea why. So this first scripture is Luke chapter 1, verses 5 through 7. And it says, there was in the days of Herod, the king of Judea, a certain priest named Zacharias of the course of Abia, and his wife was of the daughters of Aaron, and her name was Elizabeth. And they were both righteous. That's important. They were both righteous before God, walking in all the commandments and ordinances of the Lord blameless. That's important. Can we go back and read that one more time? That's important. They were both righteous before God. So they were righteous in God's eyes. They had done nothing wrong. They were walking in all the commandments, so they had not sinned against Him. And ordinances of the Lord blameless. So they loved the Lord, and the Lord loved Zachariah and Elizabeth. You know what I'm saying? They hadn't done anything wrong. 7. And they had no child, because Elizabeth was barren, and they both were now well stricken in years. They were old. They were unable to have kids at this point. But then, if you go on to read on in this same chapter, Luke chapter 1, you go to 13 and 14, an angel says, but the angel said unto him, fear not, Zacharias, for thy prayer is heard, and thy wife Elizabeth shall bear thee a son, and thou shalt call his name John. And thou shalt have joy and gladness, and many shall rejoice at his birth. 16 through 17, if we skip ahead to there, it says, and many of the children of Israel shall he turn to the Lord their God, and he shall go before him in the spirit and power of Elias, to turn the hearts of the fathers to the children, and the disobedient to the wisdom of the just, to make ready a people prepared for the Lord. Okay, so not only has God made them this promise, right? The angel came to him and spoke to him, and they're basically saying that their son is going to do great works from the Lord. So at this point, it's been years and years, and now their Ariana's stuck underneath this bag. They're not sure really, that it's been years. You know what I'm saying? Have you waited there for years, and then you think you have a glimmer that it would be happening, and for a second, they're probably Ariana under here like, I don't know that I trust what you're about to do. Right? So they had some trust issues there based on fleshly things that were happening, because if they look in their fleshly eyes, there's just no way that it would be possible that it could happen. But the Lord shows up, He makes a promise, an angel shows up and tells them exactly what is going to happen. And the impossible is above their head.
Yeah.
And they have to deal with some trust issues there. And that's what inspires me most about this story. That's what I love most about this story, is that they have that ability to still trust God in the midst of that long unfulfilled season. Some of us would not be that strong. They've waited years and years. And we know that they trusted God through this point. Hello. We know that they trusted God through this point, and that they loved God, and that they worshiped God, because God specifically called them righteous. They said that they were blameless, that they had followed all the commandments. So the angel shows up, gave Zechariah the good news. And here's the thing. Zechariah could have just given up altogether, right? Up until this point, Zechariah and Elizabeth could have just given up altogether. But they decided to keep going anyway. After I told Ariana what was about to happen, she really couldn't have, because I wouldn't have let her go sit down, but she really could have said, okay, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm going to go sit down, right? That's what they could have done to God. But they decided to stick it out, even though they were uncertain of what was going to happen.
That's good.
They had to learn to trust Him anyway. She had to learn to trust me anyway. Or maybe I would just be ornery on purpose and just get her wet. But she had to learn to trust me, just like they had to learn to trust Him, even though they had a difficult time doing so. So tonight I'm going to ask you, how do you handle adversity? How do you handle when something comes up and you have a little bit of a trust issue. Sometimes when we endure this adversity for any length of time, and you true disciples know this here, that it can be easy to lose faith. It can be easy to lose that trust, to get angry, to get mad, to sit at home, pout, say, okay, I'm not even going to church, okay, I'm not even going to read my Bible this morning, okay, I don't want to hear anything about it. Pastor's calling me, I'm just going to hang up, I don't want anything to do with that. It's easy, if we are living in our fleshly selves, to let that unbelief start to creep in and let our trust issues start to get the best of us. That leads us to quit praying, and that gets us to a point where we have stopped expecting God to move. And when you stop expecting, you're in trouble. The story of Zechariah and Elizabeth is about the faithfulness of God and what it means to live by that faith, or to live knowing that your full trust is in Him.
Yeah.
And God showed His faithfulness time and time again, doesn't He always? By working to bless their lives, even though they waited a very long time. They had that desire anyway, to stay righteous while they waited. So during that waiting season, they stayed willing to serve Him. They wanted to do what they were supposed to do. So when we are in that situation, when we are in that season of unfulfillment, we have to trust and have hope and remember that God is always faithful and He is choosing, that we have to choose to continue to trust Him. So that's the first story. That's the first point. Zechariah and Elizabeth learned to trust God when that longing is unfulfilled. The next story I want to talk about, and this is a very common story, and you all know this one, is Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? Everybody knows that story. And what they did, the kind of trust that they did, is they trusted God no matter the outcome.
Right.
Okay? So Daniel chapter 3, verses 12 through 17. It says, "And there are certain Jews whom thou hast set over the affairs of the province of Babylon, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These men, O king, have not regarded thee. They serve not thy gods, nor worship thy image which thou hast set up. Then Nebuchadnezzar in his rage and fury commanded to bring Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. These they brought these men before the king. Nebuchadnezzar spoke and said unto them, Is it true, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, do not ye serve my gods, nor worship the golden image which I have set up? Now if ye be ready, that at what time ye hear the sound of the cornet, the flute, the harp, sackbut, something, and all kinds of music, ye fall down and worship the image which I have made. Well, but if ye worship not, ye shall be cast in the same hour unto the midst of a burning fiery furnace. And who is that God that shall deliver you out of my hands? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego answered and said to the king, O Nebuchadnezzar, we are not careful to answer thee in this matter. If it be so, our God whom we serve is able to deliver us from the burning fiery furnace, and He will deliver us out of thy hand, O king. Is that it? 18. But if not, be it known unto thee, O king, that thou wilt not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Then was Nebuchadnezzar full of fury, and the form of his visions was changed against Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Therefore he spoke and commanded that they should heat the furnace 7 times more than it wont to be heated. And he commanded the most mighty men that were in his army to bind Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego and cast them into the burning fiery furnace. Then these men were bound in their coats, their hosen, and their hats, and their other garments, and were cast into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Therefore, because the king's commandment was urgent, and the furnace exceeding hot, the flame of fire slew these men that took up Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. And these three men, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, fell down, bound into the midst of the burning fiery furnace. Then Nebuchadnezzar the king was astonished and rose up in haste, and spake and said unto his counselors, Did we not cast three men down into the midst of the fire? They answered and said unto the king, True, O king. And he answered and said, Lo, I see 4 men loose, walking in the midst of the fire. And they have no hurt, and in the form of the fourth is the Son of God. That story itself is powerful. But let's talk about what these 3 men had to have before they were ever got up into this point, before they were ever actually thrown in. At this time in history, King Nebuchadnezzar of Babylon was influenced by everyone who was around him to set up this golden image. And his goal here was to have everyone in the land worship and bow down to it, right? But Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego knew better. They said, Sorry, king. All due respect here, but that's not me. That's not who I am. I don't worship anybody except for my God. And so when everybody in their whole kingdom, in their whole town, whole city, went ahead and went up there and bowed down to this golden image, they said, No, thank you. They stood their ground, and they trusted that God would take care of them no matter the result, right?
Yeah.
And that, again, would be super hard for us to do. Luckily, we haven't had to face anything crazy like that in today's times. But we will so easily and so quickly turn our back on God at the smallest slight inconvenience. Yeah. These guys were about to lose their lives, but yet they still trusted that God was going to work something out, that He had a plan set in motion, and they fully trusted that He would work it out.
Absolutely.
No matter what the outcome was.
Right.
That's the thing. They weren't even worried about living at this point. They were just thinking, if I die, at least it would be for a good cause. I'm going to trust that God has a plan, even if my lives, our lives, are over. Maybe me standing up to the king and standing my ground and telling these people who my God is, maybe that could change someone else's life. But if I live, I'm going to go to tell everybody who my God is, and they are going to see who my God is through us.
Right.
That's exactly what they did, and that's powerful to me, because it wasn't just even about living at this point. They just had to trust that His plan was bigger than their plan, and that He was going to take complete control of the situation.
Yeah.
In their position, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, they didn't feel the need to comply with the king's laws and what he told them to do. They remained calm. They remained confident. They never were like Ariana and said, No, I don't believe I trust you. They were calm the whole time. And they were confident the whole time that God was going to show them.
Yeah.
Even though it literally could have killed them, I don't know that we realized that, they were actually going to die, they still had faith that God could and would save them.
Right.
So what's our excuse, first of all? But the part that is most mind-blowing to me is that the focus was on God, even if He decided not to save them. I preached a sermon one time on these 3 men, and it was called Even If.
Yeah.
Because they specifically say in the scripture, God, even if you don't, I'm going to serve you no matter what. Even if you decide not to bring me out of this,
right,
I'm going to serve you, I'm going to love you, and I'm going to know that that's part of your plan. And that's powerful to me. That they never had to face this thing of, I don't know that I can fully trust. Their faith allowed for content. Their hearts were content. They were confident, whatever the outcome would be. They trusted God wholly. They trusted God completely. They also weren't motivated by their own success or for their own glory. They did not care what it looked like. Some of us would get the big head if God put us in that situation and we're in there walking around. We come out bragging like it was something we had something to do with it. You know what I'm saying? They didn't want any of that.
Right.
They just refused to bow down, and they wanted God to get all of the glory. Whether it was the result of their sacrifice, their lives, or the result of their triumph.
Yeah.
All they wanted was to give God the glory.
Yeah.
Could we have done that? Tonight I'm asking. I think there's a few of us in here who just have some trust issues. Now I'm not talking about the ability to trust someone here on this earth. Everybody got their own problems, I don't care nothing about that. But sometimes we have issues completely and fully trusting God. That He's going to take care of every situation. Is there anybody in here? We don't have to be ashamed. I think we're all there sometimes. That's the thing. It's not like we're there 24/7, but sometimes we sit back and we think, I don't know how this is going to work. I don't know that I fully trust. And tonight, I think it's important that before we leave this place, it doesn't have to be some big, crazy, loud playing. It doesn't have to be that way. It can just be a minute of bowing our heads, praying in our own way, and saying, God, I think I've had some trust issues. God, I think I have started to let doubt and unbelief slightly creep in. And God, I haven't even meant to do it. I know who you are. I've been a follower. I've been a disciple for years and years. Because all of us in here, we're not newbies. We've been in it for years and years and years. We've grown in it. We know it. So sometimes we do it without even realizing that we do. I know I'm guilty of that. When I go through something in my life, and I'm so quick to be negative, and you know, and that doubt, that's how it starts to creep in. And we let it get in because it starts in our mind. And all of a sudden, we're dealing with trust issues.
Yeah.
Hi everyone, I'm Cornbread Heineken, the Dean of Arkansas Sportscasters and host of Resonate Sound. I want to say a special thank you for resonating to amplify Jesus with us here today. No matter where you are, if you're joining us live here at Resonate Church, whether you're joining us nationwide courtesy of your local syndicated television stations across the country, or if you're joining us internationally and globally courtesy of our YouTube simulcast. Thanks so much for resonating Jesus with us. Now, you're asking and you're saying, Cornbread, you know, resonate. No, you guys always bless us, but we want to turn around and bless you through the act of worship called giving. How do we do it? Yes, we have multiple ways, 4 of them in particular, on which you can resonate your giving. Check it out. Number 1, join us live and in person here at Resonate Church at our brand new location, 3702 East Highland Drive. It is directly across the street from All-Star Music in Jonesboro, Arkansas. Sundays, 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Wednesday nights at 6:30, and we do keep in mind, things scheduled subject to change. Option number 2, online. That's a little tithely thing right there. Use the term Resonate Church AR. That's right, everything right there on your screen. Resonate Church AR if you want to resonate your giving online. Just follow the directions and you can do that safely and securely. Option 3, your cell phone. Look, we all got one. Might as well use it, shall we? Want to resonate your giving using your cell phone? All you gotta do, text the word give to that number right there on your screen. Safe, fast, secure, easy, simple to do. Option 4, mailing. If you want to mail your contributions to us, courtesy of a check or money order, please make all checks and money orders payable to Resonate Church and send it to the address on your screen. Once again, if you want to resonate your giving courtesy of a mailing option, send your check or money order. Make all checks and money orders payable to Resonate Church and send it to that address on your screen. And those are the ways you can resonate your giving. And remember, show love, give peace, and say Jesus. Hey, what up, man?
What's up, buddy?
How are you, bro?
I'm doing well. How are you doing?
Oh my goodness. Woo. Man, just came out of Resonate, man. You know it's all good, man. Woo. And Sonny was talking about it. Hey, why don't you come join us?
Sundays, 10 a.m. Come join us.
Woo! Sunday night's scheduled to change.
Wednesday,
6:30, it's on.
Our women's ministry is strong and rooted.
Our men's ministry has a solid rock foundation.
All the kids can have so much fun. So can you.
Our church is a great family church.
And your family will love it too. Come join us at Resonate.
Show love.
Give peace.
Resonate Jesus. Watch the hair on the monitor, Kenner. Wow. That's something we should take serious. No question about it. You were right on the money. Thanks, Kenner. Why is it hard for us to trust God when it comes to bad stuff, bad times? Why is it so hard for us to trust God when we literally use God at the last minute instead of having him with us all the time and knowing that he'll take care of everything? Why is it that we always treat God like that? Because, you know, doubt, worry, and fear doesn't come from God at all. What about with our finances? You know, on every single dollar bill that we have, no matter what number of the currency it is, whether it's a $1 bill, especially in the U.S., whether it's a $1 bill, $5 bill, $10 bill, $20 bill, $3 bill, $50 bill, $100 bill. Every single one of those bills and every single currency that you have, and the one thing that will never ever change is the fact that on that bill it literally says in these 4 words, "In God we trust." The key word, all 4 words are key. Really key word here is the verb, trust. Trust is a verb. Do we trust God really with everything? Do we really trust him? Not just with the finances. Not just with the hard times. How about we trusting him in the good times too? Do we honestly trust God when God literally says in his word, everybody will literally come back? Or better yet, when it comes to family, do we really, really trust God that we literally put our family in his hands? And here's the thing, he's the one that gave us the family. He's the one that created the family. It's up to us if we truly, truly trust him. And churches, I'm going to be controversial with this comment that I'm about to make right now. And I'm going to talk directly to you. Do you trust God enough to where you will allow sick, to where bottom line, you literally pray and anoint your congregation, anoint your church, to the point where you invite sick people to come, and when sick people show up, they ended up feeling something different? Not from a negative perspective, but from a positive perspective. Do they end up feeling something different to where, bottom line, whatever sickness they had got destroyed in Jesus' name? Does your church have that power? I can tell we do. Not too long ago, I'll go ahead and say this on national television. I'm pretty sure this individual don't mind me saying this. I remember one Sunday morning, but Scotty went to the church. First, his whole left side was hurting. Where it was a total pain to where he was about to go to, but instead, he started church on a Sunday morning. Bottom line, he already felt the God's healing power. Already felt it to where, bottom line, he went home the rest of the day, no pain. Whole left side healed up. Had no problem with the right side, his whole body healed up. Why? Because he went all in on God, he trusted God. And what happened when he trusted God? Brother already had his healing without even going up there. Without even asking anybody for prayer. That brother felt God's healing power right when he hit the doors. And then when he walked in, boom, it happened. Why? Because he trusted God. Instead of going to the ER, and yes, let me say this publicly, I am not against doctors. I am not against nurses. Because God put them there for a reason. What I am saying is, God put your church right there for a reason too. To be a spiritual hospital. God's giving y'all the same power. Trusting God ain't hard. She's right. Wake up, y'all. Trusting God is the best thing ever for your life. See, that's what happens. See, that's the difference between our word, religion. I apologize for the curse word. Religion. I apologize. I know that comes out of my salary. I apologize for the R word. Traditions. When you get rid of that and you have a relationship with him, a relationship does involve trust. God's willing to trust you. Trust you to give everything to him. And you gotta trust him. That God is literally the Lord of your life, and bottom line, everything he does and everything he says is absolutely true. God created a family, and the family will come back to him. Better yet, when the family returns to God, when the family comes to God, it's gonna be 10 times better than what it's ever been before. Start trusting God, will you? Trust, if you could put your faith in a dollar bill to take care of your bills, why can't you put your trust in the one that gave you that? They gave you that job for you to make that money, for you to pay those bills. If you trust God with your family, then you literally saying, God, thank you for this family. Thank you for my spouse. Thank you for my kids. Thank you for the grandkids. Thank you for the expansion of the family. God's right there. Are you willing to trust him? Are you willing to give him everything? He gave his all for you. He gave himself. He gave his Holy Spirit. God, thank you so much for resonating this out to us. Thank you and help for watching. Hey, ain't no service like a live wrestling service and a live wrestling service itself. Why should you be left out? Join us live, Wrestling Church info on your screen, plus 4-way WrestlingChurchShowsboro.com is the other option. And on preach.com/WrestlingChurchShowsboro. And you're watching this program on YouTube, Summit. Like this video, subscribe to the channel, ring that bell, ding, 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 that way you ain't missing anything. Oh yeah, we have a great program coming up for you next week. And like I said, Father's Day night, best you join us Sunday night on the 18th, 11 p.m. Eastern, 10 p.m. Central, in most locations. And of course, Of course, on the YouTube simulcast, we're on at 11 p.m. Eastern. Be sure to join us on your local stations immediately following your late local news. Oh man, it's going to be on. We'll see you next Thursday night, same time, same place, right here on this same station. For our entire crew, for everyone at Westside Church, and for everyone at Syndicated Media Television Partners Group, I'm Chris Heineken. We say to you, show love, give peace, you know it. Recognize Jesus. We'll see you this Thursday night at primetime Resurrect the South at 9 p.m. Eastern. Good night, Canada. Good night, everybody. See you Thursday.